You don't need more motivation. You need to stop lying to yourself about why you're not moving forward and why you keep delaying everything. Deep down, you already know exactly what you should be doing, but you're still sitting there waiting for the perfect moment to magically arrive. Here's the truth. Most people never say out loud, motivation isn't coming to save you, because discipline is the only thing that actually builds results. If you're tired of feeling stuck and watching others grow while you stay the same, keep listening, because today might change everything. This video isn't hype or surface level advice. This is real talk about the silent decisions no one sees but completely shape your entire future. It's about how you act when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, and how small, boring choices eventually build a life you love. We're going to break down exactly why your life feels like it's on repeat and how to finally break out of that invisible mental loop. We'll talk about the stories you keep telling yourself, the habits pulling you backward, and how to rewrite them, one move at a time. And when this ends, I want you to stop waiting for the perfect time, because you've already skipped 10 chances to change this month. But that doesn't mean you failed. It means you've just been stuck in a cycle, and that cycle can be broken right now. Let's start with something honest and a little uncomfortable. The real problem isn't laziness. It's not that you don't care or don't want it. You're not lazy, you're just tired, distracted, discouraged, and buried under a mountain of unrealistic expectations and overwhelming mental clutter. You've tried to change before and you made it too perfect, too extreme, so you burned out and now your brain avoids effort completely. That's not because you're weak, it's because your nervous system remembers failure and it protects you by avoiding that pain again. You've been tricked into believing your life will magically change when you finally feel like it, but that moment never actually comes. Feelings are liars. They drift like the weather, and if your dreams rely on the mood you wake up in, they won't survive. Your future doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on what you do when you feel absolutely nothing and want to stay in bed, because action creates motivation, not the other way around. And anyone waiting to feel ready is going to wait their entire life. Start small and start now, because even a tiny win can flip the entire story you've been repeating in your head for years. You don't need the perfect plan or a 10-step routine. You just need one thing you're proud of when the day ends. Make your bed, drink a glass of water, turn off your phone for an hour, or do something hard before 9 in the morning. That's how confidence begins. Not by shouting affirmations, but by stacking evidence that says, I follow through, even when it's uncomfortable. Because when you follow through, you build trust with yourself, and when you trust yourself, you become someone who's actually dangerous to your excuses. And that's how it starts. Not with hype, not with perfection, but with one quiet decision that no one notices except the future you. So stop thinking you have to fix everything and just win today, because if you win today, you'll know how to win tomorrow. That's the secret most people miss. It's not about intensity for a few days. It's about consistency in the quiet moments nobody claps for. If you keep showing up when it's boring, if you keep doing the thing when it's uncomfortable, eventually that becomes your new identity. The problem is, you're still negotiating with yourself, giving your emotions the final say, letting comfort decide what kind of day you're going to have. Every morning, there's a voice that says, not today. And if you keep listening to that voice, it'll still be talking next year. It says, you're tired, you've done enough, start tomorrow. But that voice is not your friend. It's fear in disguise, trying to keep you small. It's the voice of your past trying to drag you back. But you've got to decide if you're still living for who you were yesterday. That voice hates discomfort. But guess what? So does growth. Because growth doesn't live in comfort, it lives in the stretch, the push, the resistance. Every time you lean into that stretch, that resistance, you send a message to your brain that says, I'm not who I used to be. You won't always see instant results, but don't confuse slow progress with failure, because most growth happens in silence long before it ever shows. A seed doesn't make noise when it grows underground, but one day, the entire tree stands tall, and no one remembers how quiet it was. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to stop waiting for permission to act like you believe in yourself. Because the longer you wait to bet on yourself, the more you convince your brain that you're not worth betting on at all. That belief is built through action, not through hype or speeches or another podcast, but through one choice repeated over and over until it sticks. If you want to stop doubting your future, start building it, because clarity doesn't come from thinking more, it comes from doing more. You're not stuck. You're just unpracticed in making decisions that align with who you want to become, instead of who you've always been. And I get it, comfort is easy, comfort is safe, but comfort is also quietly stealing the life you said you wanted. Comfort is the enemy of greatness, and most people don't realize they're addicted to it until years have passed and they're still in the same place. So ask yourself this: is my current comfort worth more than my future potential? And be brutally honest with your answer. You can't build a new life while dragging around the weight of the old one. That means some habits and identities have to die. That's the cost no one talks about. The old you doesn't want to let go, but the next level requires a different version of you. And yes, letting go will feel uncomfortable. Your brain will scream for the familiar, but don't mistake comfort for alignment. They're not the same. Alignment means you're walking toward the future you want, even when your feelings beg you to turn around and go back. So the question becomes, how bad do you want it? Not just when you feel inspired, but on the days when you don't. Because discipline is just love in action. Love for your future, love for your potential, love for the version of you haven't met yet. Every hard choice you make today is a vote for that version of you, the one who didn't give up when things got uncomfortable. You don't need to have all the answers today, but you do need to take full ownership of the next choice you make. Because everything starts with one thing: ownership. You can't fix what you keep blaming, and you can't grow into your future while pointing fingers at your past. You're not a victim of time, you're not a prisoner of your schedule, and you're not stuck because of your circumstances. You're stuck because of your patterns. Patterns of distraction, patterns of procrastination, and most of all, patterns of comfort that feel good now but cost you everything later. And the longer you let those patterns win, the more they become your personality, until one day you wake up and barely recognize yourself. That's when the regret starts whispering, and it says things like, "You could have done more," or "You used to dream big." But the good news is this: you can rewrite the story, because the script isn't finished and you're still holding the pen. You don't need a complete rewrite overnight. You just need to stop adding the same scenes that always lead to the same ending. So here's the challenge, and it's not complicated, it's not glamorous, but it's real, and it works if you do it. Choose one hard thing today, one uncomfortable thing that moves you forward, and do it even when your mind tries to talk you out of it. Because your mind will, and that's normal. It's wired for safety, not growth, and it hates uncertainty even if it leads to everything you want. So, you have to rewire it through action, through friction, by showing it that you're not here to repeat history, you're here to change it. And no, change doesn't mean hustle 24 hours a day. It means doing the thing that your future self will be proud you did. It means showing up when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, and when nobody would blame you for quitting, but you keep going anyway. That's how confidence is built, not by screaming in the mirror, but by doing the hard thing over and over until it feels normal. And once it feels normal, that becomes your new baseline, and that baseline is miles ahead of where you started. And suddenly, the thing that used to scare you becomes the thing that strengthens you, and that's when you realize you've changed. You're no longer chasing your potential, you're living it, and that is the moment you stop needing motivation to get out of bed. Because you're not driven by hype anymore, you're driven by habit, and that habit is the foundation for everything you want to build. And yes, it's hard, but so is staying stuck, so is living with regret, and so is watching other people do what you know you could. So choose your hard, and don't just say it, show it, prove it with your time, your energy, and the way you move through every day. Because at the end of the day, your dream is either protected by your choices or destroyed by your distractions. No one's coming to save you, and honestly, that's the best news ever, because it means you get to be the one who saves yourself. It means you get to build this thing from the ground up, brick by brick, with no one to thank but yourself when you get there. You don't owe the world comfort. You owe yourself the chance to become the version of you that nobody believed you could be. And that version? They're not built in a day, they're built in every day, especially the hard ones, especially when it's quiet and cold and lonely. That's where champions are made, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows, where no one's watching and everything in you says quit. But you don't, and that moment, right there, is when you take your power back, and it's the most important win of your life. That moment when you choose not to quit becomes the foundation for your new identity, one built on grit and quiet strength, not hype. The difference between those who grow and those who stay stuck is not talent or luck, it is how they respond to resistance. Some shrink back to safety because it is familiar, but those who rise lean into the stretch even when it burns like fire. You have felt it before, that small flicker of possibility, the glimpse of who you could become if you just stopped holding back. But maybe fear pulled you away, and that is okay, because fear shows up when you are near something that truly matters. Fear only speaks loudest when you are standing at the edge of growth, right before you're about to do something real. But now you know, fear does not get to drive anymore because you have already seen where it takes you in the past. And you are tired of circling the same blocks, tired of seeing your potential in the distance and never walking all the way there. You are not locked into this version of yourself. You are not sentenced to stay the same. You are built to evolve and expand. But to reach that next level, you cannot carry the dead weight of old habits, stories, or people who no longer support your future. It might mean waking up earlier. It might mean spending time alone to reset. It might mean saying no to what drains your energy. It might mean finally being honest with yourself about the people, patterns, and thoughts that keep pulling you backward every single time. There is a voice inside you that already knows what needs to be done, the one that gets quiet when you avoid the truth, the one that speaks when you skip the gym again, when you scroll instead of act, when you keep breaking promises to your future. That voice is not criticizing you, it is calling you up. It is reminding you that there is more inside you waiting to grow. Because you are not just fighting laziness, you are fighting the old you, the one that wants comfort over progress and ease over evolution. And I get it, I really do, because it is easier to stay busy, to fill your day with distraction and call it progress. But distraction without direction is destruction in disguise. It just takes longer to feel the damage, and by the time you do, it's deep. So let me ask you a question. What are you pretending not to know right now? And what truth are you afraid to admit today? What is the one action you are avoiding, not because it is impossible, but because it would force you to grow into your potential? Whatever that thing is, that is your doorway, and your fear is not a sign to run. It is an invitation to level up. So walk through it, even if you shake, even if you crawl, because staying where you are costs far more than moving forward ever will. You were not made to watch life happen from the sidelines while your dream gathers dust in the corner of your comfort zone. You were built to chase something real, to create something bold, and to become someone that your past self would not even recognize. One day, your future self will look back and thank you for not quitting, for not hiding, and for not giving up right here. Because on that day, they will be living the life you only imagined, and that life will be built on everything you do now. Not because it was easy, not because anyone else believed in you, but because you believed in you when no one else did. And that, right there, is the beginning of everything you ever wanted, the kind of life you cannot fake or borrow or wish into existence. Your life is not going to change by accident, and no one is going to show up and do the work for you anymore. It will change the moment you decide to stop negotiating with weakness and start protecting the future you said you wanted. If you are waiting for someone to hand you permission, this is it. You are officially cleared to become who you were meant to be. Because the clock does not stop, time will keep moving whether you do or not, and your opportunity will not wait forever to be claimed. So here is the truth. The longer you delay, the heavier the regret becomes, and no comfort is worth carrying that weight for life. You have a fire in you, and maybe it has been dimmed or drowned or ignored, but it is still there, burning for more. And the only way to feed it is to start now, not next Monday, not when things slow down, but now while it still matters. Because when you move, the energy shifts, your belief expands, and your habits begin to match the identity you are trying to build. That version of you is already watching, the stronger, bolder, sharper you, the one who made it through every test and kept showing up. They are not asking for perfect. They are just hoping you do not waste another year pretending you are not capable of more. So stand up today, take the first small action, shut out the distractions, and remind your brain what it means to be committed. You are not fragile, you are focused, and even when life gets heavy, you do not crumble, you adapt, you grind, and you rise again. And when the doubts come back, because they always do, remember this one truth that never changes. Motion beats emotion every single time. If you do the work, even with shaky hands and a tired heart, the life you want will slowly start building itself around you. So ask yourself this: are you going to spend another year thinking about the life you want, or finally start building it today? Your future self is counting on your current self to get up, to focus, and to do the work while nobody else is watching. They are counting on you to protect the dream, instead of chasing short-term comfort that leaves you right back where you started. And if you need a sign, this is it. This is the moment you stop waiting and start becoming everything they said you could not be. If this connected with you, do not stop here. Watch the next video and keep your momentum going strong. You have already come too far to give up now, and going backward will not bring you peace. It will only grow your regret. Every excuse sounds good in the moment, but every excuse also builds a wall between who you are and who you could become. Right now is your reset button, not tomorrow, not next week, and not when it is easier, but right now while the pressure is real. Pressure does not break you unless you avoid it, but if you lean into it, pressure becomes the very thing that makes you stronger. Think about it. Muscles grow by being torn and rebuilt, and your mindset works the same way, breaking down weakness and rebuilding strength daily. That is why discomfort is your greatest coach. It does not lie to you. It reveals exactly where your limits begin and where to grow. You do not have to crush every goal today, but you do have to stop pretending that your time is unlimited, because it is not. You only get one life, and what you do with each day writes the chapters that people will either remember or forget forever. Start asking yourself, what story am I writing today? And if someone read only this page, would they respect who I am becoming? Because every habit you build is a sentence, and every sentence becomes a paragraph in the story that defines your entire legacy. You do not need to be perfect to be powerful, but you do need to be consistent enough that your future self feels proud. And no, you will not always be motivated, but that is okay, because discipline does not wait for motivation. It works with or without it. Discipline is quiet and unglamorous, but it is the most honest form of self-respect you can show when nobody else is paying attention. Because that is where your confidence lives, not in what people say about you, but in what you do when no one is watching. Keep showing up, even when it is boring. Keep pushing forward, even when it is heavy, because strength comes from repetition, not from luck. Every time you move forward, even 1 inch, you take power away from the fear, the doubt, and the version of you that wants to quit. So stop negotiating with that voice and start listening to the one that believes in you, the one that has been quiet for too long. Because that voice, the one that says keep going, that voice is who you really are, and it is time to start listening again. You do not need more time, you need more direction, and the moment you stop drifting is the moment you start building something real. Most people waste years waiting for the perfect moment, but success only comes to those who create progress in imperfect conditions every single day. You cannot control the weather of life, but you can decide how you show up when the storm starts, and that is your power. You do not need to control everything. You just need to control your actions, your response, and your attitude when things get difficult. That is where confidence is born, not in loud moments, but in quiet decisions, repeated over time until discipline becomes your new default setting. And that discipline builds freedom, the kind of freedom where your health improves, your finances grow, and your mind finally feels clear and in control. You are not meant to live in chaos forever, and you are not required to carry the weight of who you used to be. Let that version of you go, the one that doubted everything, the one that kept settling, and the one that was afraid to take action. You are not here to play small anymore. You are not here to be average. You are here to build something that actually matters. That does not mean you will not fall, but it means you will get back up faster, stronger, and more focused than ever before. Because winners do not win by avoiding pain, they win by walking through it and using it to shape the person they are becoming. And if that means sacrifice, then so be it, because sacrifice is simply trading what you want now for what you want most. You have already survived hard things, so do not forget that when the next challenge hits, you are stronger than you give yourself credit for. And right now, you have a chance, not just to think different, but to move different, act different, and finally become someone different. Let that version rise today, even if it is just for 5 minutes, because those 5 minutes of action are more powerful than hours of excuses. Excuses will always sound good in the moment, but they never build anything, and they always leave you in the exact same place. You are not here for average anymore, and deep down, you know that, so now it is time to act like it and prove it. The dream you keep talking about is waiting for you to stop talking and start executing, one disciplined decision at a time. No more waiting for the right mood, the right weather, or the right timing, because success only happens when you move despite discomfort. Most people never reach their goals because they keep waiting to feel ready, but the truth is, readiness is a decision, not a feeling. The people who win in life are not the ones who always feel inspired. They are the ones who do it even when uninspired. They build routines that work without emotion, systems that run even when motivation disappears, and habits that protect their goals from excuses. And here is what separates them. They do not count the cost every day, they count the result, and they move until it shows. Because when the goal matters enough, you stop asking how hard it is and start asking what you are willing to give up for it. Are you willing to trade scrolling for self-discipline, comfort food for energy, sleeping in for showing up, and giving up for staying consistent? Because if the answer is yes, then your life will not just change, it will transform, and you will become unrecognizable to your past self. It starts small, and it starts quiet, but over time, that discipline becomes louder than your excuses and stronger than your distractions. And eventually, the person you used to be will become a distant memory, replaced by the one who showed up again and again. Even when it was hard, even when it was lonely, even when no one noticed. That version of you is built in these moments right now, not when it is easy, not when it is perfect, but right here in the struggle. The struggle is shaping your strength, and if you learn to love the process, the progress will come faster than you ever expected. This is not about being perfect, it is about being committed, because commitment means doing it when it is boring, painful, and inconvenient. That is where the change lives, not in your dream, but in the habits that bridge the gap between your present and your future. You already know what to do. Now it is time to trust yourself enough to do it, even when no one is watching. Because that is what separates the dreamers from the doers, the ones who think about change and the ones who live inside the result. So stop overthinking, stop delaying, and stop pretending your potential does not matter, because deep down, you know it is time to level up. You know it is time to stop settling, to stop shrinking, and to finally rise into the version of yourself that you keep imagining. You do not need anyone to give you permission anymore, because the only approval that matters comes from what you do consistently every day. There will always be someone who doubts your potential, but the real danger is when you start believing them more than you believe yourself. The world will distract you, test your patience, and make you think it is easier to shrink than to grow. But that is a lie. Because nothing about staying small is safe, and every time you choose comfort, you give up a piece of the life you truly want. Comfort might feel good now, but it always takes more than it gives, and you can feel that slowly building up inside your chest. What you are missing is not more information or inspiration. What you are missing is the courage to act, even when it feels hard. You do not need to write a new plan. You need to honor the plan you already created when you were hungry for more. That version of you still exists underneath the distractions, underneath the excuses, just waiting for you to come back and get serious again. Because inside you is someone powerful, someone who follows through, someone who keeps showing up even when no one claps or even notices. That version of you is not always loud or perfect, but they are focused, disciplined, and determined to move forward no matter the situation. You might be tired, discouraged, or feeling behind, but this is still your moment, and there is still time to shift the entire story. You do not have to fix everything in one day. You just need to win the next decision, the next hour, and then repeat it again. That is how transformation begins, not in massive overnight change, but in small victories repeated until your identity finally catches up to your potential. Right now, you are standing at the edge of who you were and who you can become, and all it takes is action. Lean into the hard moments, even when your mind resists, because growth only happens when you choose action over comfort again and again. You already know what needs to be done, so do not let fear or fatigue make decisions that your future self has to regret. Nobody else can build this life for you, and nobody else can carry the dream the way you were uniquely designed to carry it. This is the moment you stop hesitating and start proving to yourself that you are still capable of something absolutely incredible and life-changing. Your future self is already watching everything you do today, so give them a reason to stand tall, to smile, and to be proud. If this message sparks something in you, do not close this video and scroll away. Stay focused and protect your momentum right now. The next video on your screen will keep pushing you forward, so click it, stay locked in, and do not slow down now.